All right, so halftime of the Browns game, we'll get to that in a second here. But James Franklin, he got fired in like the middle of the second quarter of this game, and man, Penn State, you're down that bad? Honestly, yeah, like I get why, but you paid 40, almost $50 million for James Franklin to go sit on his couch for the rest of the year? He gonna sit right there. He's gonna sit right there. Really? I don't know. I mean, I get it. If I had a coach like that who couldn't win big games consistently to save their life, I get it too. And now he can't even win the games that he's supposed to win. Oh, Penn State. Oh, Penn State. Oh. I don't know. Sucks though. But you're still not our rival. So, what are you going to do? Ohio State should be, the AP poll should be coming out here any second. As I'm recording this, they could very well be out by the time I upload this. Ohio State should be 1. Miami should be 2. Indiana has a case to be 3. But, we know who's not going to be ranked, though. The cheaters. Those morons up in Ann Arbor. The Michigan morons. Connor Stallions must be real mad at himself right now. Man, can't even beat Lincoln Riley. You can't even beat the school that let Mara Scott go. Can't believe it. Can't do it. Can't believe it. If you know about that joke, you know that about that joke. But Michigan loses to USC yesterday, and they got bullied. They did. There was no point in that game where I thought that USC, or that Michigan rather, was the better team. There was none. Now, of course, you hate to see injuries, and we'll get to that with Drew Aller too. You hate to see injuries. I don't think anyone is cheering for anybody to get injured. But and then when Hines went out, you kind of thought, okay, Michigan's not going to win this game, and USC completely capitalized. And exactly what happened when people were predicting this, if the game was going to be under 20, if the winning team was going to score under 20 points, Michigan was going to win, and there was going to be no question. If it was going to be over 20, USC was going to run away with it. And that's exactly what happened. USC completely dominates Michigan, and the fact is, like, no one fears the Michigan passing game. And that's bad. That's bad recruiting on the part of Sharon Moore and all the Michigan staff. You have a quarterback who is one of the best quarterbacks recruitment wires since Trevor Lawrence back in high school in 2017 maybe. I don't even know when he graduated, but you get what I'm saying. You have one of the best quarterbacks that we've seen in a long time coming out of high school, and you repeatedly put him in spots where he has to just run the football, and you get a quick screen pass. You're not letting Bust Underwear be Bust Underwear. And right now, he is a bust right now. I said this as I saw that Underwood went to Michigan. I said they're going to waste him because they're not going to know how to use him. Michigan is not a team that is capable of airing it out 50 times and have these 5-star wide receivers that can go up and catch 50-50 balls. Michigan is the team that is going to muddy the waters, run the ball, and make you stop the run. Run the ball, stop the run, muddy the waters, play 10 to 17 games. That's their style. And the same thing with Penn State and Drew Aller. Penn State did not let Drew Aller play his style of football. Michigan's not going to let Underwood play his style of football. And he's not going to do a whole lot. Can he beat Ohio State once in his college career, maybe even multiple times? Sure. But he's not going to do it by himself. That team needs to be centered around him, and right now, the team is basically centered around Sharon Moore. and his pride of being a Michigan man and making everyone fear Michigan, even though that they have been absolutely horrible ever since Stallions left. And yes, I'm not counting Stallions leaving and then Michigan winning the national championship, because by that time the damage was done. And Michigan had everything in place to win that national championship. Now, should Michigan lose that national championship because the Stallions cheated? No. That's fine. Damage was already done. They should have immediately, honestly, they probably should have just been left out of the playoffs that year and totally, but whatever. That different subject for a different day. We'll save that for maybe like the hate week stuff. But Michigan loses to USC. USC is not a great team. They're a good team. They'll compete for a top spot in the Big Ten, but they're not going to Indy. And speaking of going to Indy, Indiana, the Hoosiers, they might have just punched their ticket yesterday. I didn't watch much of the Oregon game because I wanted to watch the Red River, which ended up being a really sloppy game. But it was just not... Like, Indiana has no one left on their schedule. There's no one left. Oregon was there in the regular season, that is. Oregon was their Everest, and they just climbed it and kind of made it look easy. Of course, Oregon had the pick six and everything, but let's be honest. Indiana basically made Oregon compete with them, and Oregon said, no, we're good. So, is Oregon still a top team in the country? Yes. Is Indiana a top team in the country now? Yeah. Honestly, if Ohio State makes it to Indy, I feel a lot better playing Indiana than I did Oregon. I'm going to be honest. And Oregon might have just lost out on the Big Ten championship now. And they lost at home, too. Yeesh. That sucks. But, I'm not by no means am I saying Indiana is completely guaranteed. I'm just saying it's probably likely that Indiana's going to going to the Big Ten championship, and it's a guarantee that they're going to the playoff now, unless they pull a Penn State. They pull a Penn State and lose to Northwestern and everybody else in that. But that's probably not going to happen because Indiana doesn't have James Franklin, and right now Penn State doesn't either. Back to Penn State, though, and then I'll talk about the Browns game here. If Penn State comes out next week and completely destroys whoever they play next week, they might be on a bye. I don't know. I don't have their schedule memorized. But if they do play next week and they completely destroy whoever they're playing, that concerns me a little bit. Because Penn State doesn't have the anchor around their neck that was James Franklin anymore. Now, do I really fear Penn State anymore? Like I did in the offseason? No. Could they come into Columbus and have a storybook ending to their season and beat Ohio State for the first time in 10 years without James Franklin? They can. Will they? No. I mean, Ohio State is just too good on both sides of the ball. Penn State doesn't have Drew Aller anymore. And like I said, no one roots for injuries. It sucks for Drew Aller to go out like that the way he did. And I think he might have, it looked like he broke his ankle, honestly. It looked like he did. If he sprained it and they're just kind of letting him play it safe and he's going to go into the draft and do all that kind of stuff, I get that. It just sucks to see his Penn State career end like that. Without a signature win, really. They had a bunch of signature losses, though. But no hate to Drew Aller. I like Drew Aller. I do not like James Franklin. I do not like Penn State. But, it is what it is at this point. It sucks for Drew Aller. He'll probably be a late round draft pick now. He's fallen completely out of the first 3 rounds, I think. And if he goes and is a great quarterback in the NFL, great. If he's probably what we all expect him to be, which is a borderline backup quarterback that's like a journeyman, like the next Ryan Fitzpatrick or whatever, then, there's a local kid in the NFL. You're whatever. But we'll talk about the Browns game a little bit here before I go. Man, it's ugly. And we all knew that Pittsburgh and Cleveland, they play these ugly games. And we'll see what happens. The Browns had a okay drive to end the half, but after, before all that, there was nothing. Defense looked a little tired, but that's going to happen when the offense isn't consistently getting at least 2 first downs and giving you a little bit of chance to take your breath. Aaron Rodgers looks like an old man Aaron Rodgers. He can kind of run as they just kick off. Browns are starting up right now. But, will it surprise me if the Browns, if they throw an interception or something? Will that surprise me? Absolutely not. What can go wrong will go wrong in this game. And we've seen it happen over and over again. I am now 20 years old. Turned 20 in September. I have never seen the Browns win in Pittsburgh besides the playoff game. I've never seen the Browns win in a regular season game against Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh. Now, I have seen it in person in Cleveland when the DTR, when his only win in the NFL. I was at that game. Nice little run by Judkins. But, I would, if it happens once in my lifetime, I guess that works. Could it happen today? Sure. But you got to expect the worst when you play Pittsburgh, and especially when it's in Pittsburgh. You have to expect the worst. You got to expect someone to get injured, unfortunately. As rough as it seems, you got to expect that. You got to expect a few turnovers and defensive touchdowns and TJ Watt doing TJ Watt things and all that kind of stuff, especially with Dylan Gabriel coming in. This is only his second start, and it's in a road environment, just coming off the London game. That could be a fumble, but there's a flag down. So we'll see. Anyways, defense is playing good. I think the Steelers are almost kind of shooting themselves in the foot, to be completely honest. This game could be a blowout. This game should be a blowout for the Steelers, that is. They had so many chances in this game, especially in the first half, to blow this thing wide open. But they just could not do anything. And again, these defensive penalties. They've been doing that all game. These offside penalties. And TJ Watt got to him again, but it's an offside penalty on the Steelers. So I think we might have a first down, if not a second or third and short. But, you got to expect it. You got to expect the unexpected. By the way, why is TJ Watt calling this game? That's a conflict of interest, is it not? JJ Watt, my bad. JJ Watt. Why is he calling this game right now? Is that not a conflict of interest in the NFL to have your sibling calling your NFL game? This is a conspiracy. Why? Why is it always the Browns? It's always the Browns, and that could be a false start, and it is a false start, so that's going to be second and 6. Great. So, here goes that offside penalty. I'll be back for the rest of the game, but do not see, I could very well be very, very angry. And I was honestly really annoyed when I came down to make this video and I saw that James Franklin got fired, and that immediately improved my mood. But, I'll be back for the end of the game. We'll see what happens.